I'm going to tell you the story of Lily, Billy, and Anna. Lily, Billy, and Anna were summer best friends. They spent the whole summer in Ocean City, New Jersey, playing on the beach, hanging out with other friends on the block, and then they had to go back to their own towns in September when school started. And this was their worst day of the year. They hated the start of school and thinking that they had to leave their summer families. But it was only the beginning of July, so they had the whole summer ahead of them. Today, they spent the day on the beach making drippy castles, rolling in the hot sand when they get cold, and body surfing. They had a perfect day. It was 80 degrees, and they were happy. So at about 5 o'clock, which their parents called the golden hour, they told their parents they were ready to go. They gathered up all their stuff, and they made their way to their own houses where they would shower and then meet back up again. Tonight, they were meeting at Lily's house for hot dogs. And Lee always made this disgusting concoction of ketchup and minced onions, and she always ate it, and they always said how gross it was. But that was it. They were going to do that, and then they were going to go play kick the can with the rest of their friends on the block. So after they ate, they said goodbye to Lee's mom, who was on the porch reading, which she usually was, and they made their way down the block to Aunt Candy and Uncle Pete's house, which is where the jail was for kick the can. So the bottom porch was always the jail, and so all the kids would meet there and make their teams and then start the game. On their way down the block, though, they saw a suspicious car sitting on the corner of the block. The street lights were already on, and the light was shining right down on him. He had a hood on, so there was a mysterious hooded man in this car. So they quickly talked to each other and said, you know what, I don't think we should play kick the can tonight. Let's go see what's going on. This is not right. He has his hood up, and it's 80 degrees out, and something's going on. So they made their way around the back to Lee's house and sent Anna in, who was always the quietest, and going in and gathering their things that they would need. They were the block detectives. So she went in, grabbed their backpack, and then they quietly made their way down the block to the house on the corner. There was a little area in the bush where they could crawl through and not be seen by anyone that was walking down the block or in the alleyway. And the family that lived there didn't use it that often, so they didn't have to worry about them seeing them from inside the house. So they got out their notebooks and they started to write down everything that they remember seeing. The color of the car, what the guy looked like, what his hoodie looked like, everything they could. This was not their first time. They were always looking for clues and if something was going on in the block. So they decided it was time to go take a closer look at the car. So they quietly made their way up between two of the houses, and they had to walk on the wood in between them because there was rocks on either side. Most of the houses had rocks for landscaping, and Billy's dad had told them that it was so that there was not much upkeep, because most of these houses were rented out for the summer by the week, so there would be different renters coming and going, and it was just easier to keep up with. So they made their way out to the sidewalk, and they quickly peered around the corner to see what the guy was doing now. He was still just sitting in his car. The lights were off. He had his hood up. It was drawn tightly around his head, and they could see a little bit of brown hair, but that was it. And they were like, what is going on here? This is not normal. They needed to see the license plate. Where was this guy from? So they quietly made their way down the block so they could see the back of his car. And it said they had a Pennsylvania license plate, which is not peculiar because most of the renters came from Pennsylvania. They all did too. A lot of the people that lived there for the summer did. They didn't see any stickers on the car. It looked like a new car. And it was white, it had 4 doors, and no dents or dings in it. So it didn't really give them many clues. They decided to go back to their original spot because it gave them more cover. So they quietly made their way back, walked on the wood up to the sidewalk where they could peer around the corner with not really being seen. They didn't think. So they were looking and jotting down more notes, and all of a sudden the light in the car went on so they could see the man looking down at his lap. And they're thinking, what is he looking at? Does he have a map that he's looking for something, or they had no idea what he was doing? All of a sudden, he got out of his car, and they heard the door slam, and they followed him with their eyes as he walked across the street and down the block. And then Anna all of a sudden screamed in her most quiet scream that she could, "Oh my gosh, he's going near my house. Help, we gotta go. We have to go tell your mom, Lee. We have to go tell your mom." So they made their way back to Lee's house and ran up to the porch and said, there's a guy, a hooded, mysterious man. I think he's on the loose, and I think he's going towards Anna's house. Lee's mom's like, okay, one of you just tell me what's going on and what all this fuss is about. So she was kind of smiling because this happened a lot. They would get excited about something, and so she needed them to calm down and tell them actually what was going on. So they pointed across the street and said, there's a mysterious hooded man that I think he went into Anna's house. He was in the driveway, and now we don't see him. So Lee's mom said, okay, let's walk across the street together, and we'll go make sure that Anna's parents are okay. So they made their way across the street. They could see that the lights were on and everything looked normal. They made their way in the side door, which was always unlocked for them to go in, and they saw the dinner plates on the table. So they knew Anna's mom must have been home. She never left anything out on the counter. So all of a sudden the back door opened, and in came Anna's mom and dad laughing. So they knew they were okay. Anna said, "Mom." Then all of a sudden, a man came in behind them. And what? Anna shrieked, "Mark!" It was Anna's brother, Mark. Mark was laughing and told her, and she said, "I thought you were a robber going to come get Mom and Dad." And he was laughing, and he said, "I saw you guys playing kick the can, and I knew that you saw me, so I was trying to disguise myself so that I could surprise you." Mark was home from college for just a quick weekend visit to surprise him and say hello. He was graduating and had just got a new job, so he bought a brand new car with his money, and that was the white, mysterious car on the corner. Lily, Billy, and Anna left with their parents and were so excited to see Anna's older brother, Mark, but their parents knew that this would not be the end of the detectives on 50th Street.